now I'm going to show you how to turbocharge your avocados so they can pack on those leaves. Okay guys, I think my avocados have been getting kind of jealous from all the attention the blueberries have been getting lately. So this is going to be a little bit of an avocado video. And this is what I've noticed gives them a nice little boost to kind of, if they're having a rough time, kind of helps, you know, push out some new growth and get going. So there's kind of two things I want to work on here. These guys, in just the month I've been doing what I'm going to show you in about 2 seconds, they gained about a 3-inch growth here. All this right here is new growth that just popped up in these last couple of weeks. This thing is having a real hard time, almost dying. And we have these really, really hot days. So when it comes to fertilizing, I kind of have to wait until we have a window of time, I don't know, 3-4 days or so, where we get some nice cool temperatures. And we're just now getting that. This area where I'm at, Central Valley, we have a lot of hot days, you know, pushing 100. And on those really, really hot days, I just don't want to give them any fertilizer because the water evaporates and winds up kind of burning up the plants. So it's kind of tough to find a time to fertilize. So when I do it all at kind of one shot. But when you start to see all those little new nodes starting up right here, like this guy right there, I realized it's time to fertilize, because if you don't fertilize when you see these little nodes popping like this, I'm holding it with one hand, point with this finger, right there, right there. But anyways, when you see those and you don't fertilize, they'll die off. So right here there's a leaf set. This thing's got leaf sets all over the place. They're getting ready to explode on growth. So let me show you my little trick on what I do, and it's been working pretty well for me. Okay guys, first part of this is we're going to focus on doing a soil drench. And today, this is the holiday. It's going to be the guinea pig, and I'll show you how this is doing. But it didn't have a whole lot of leaves, and they were kind of this pale green color. So now you can take a look. They're nice, deep, like an emerald green. I mean, that is much, much, much better since I started doing this. And it's starting to push out some new growth right there. Alright, so on our soil drench, obviously you get a 5-gallon bucket, some kind of little stir stick. I like these painting stick things. And then Alaska fertilizer, Monterey garden foss, some kind of a kelp, doesn't really matter what it is, a little bit of powdered zinc, and if you're wondering what's in the jar over on the end, that is the coffee that when we all get busy we leave the whole pot of coffee over there and we never finish it. Just pour it in a little mason jar and throw it in here. I think it gives it a lot of nitrogen and a lot of other little beneficial things, and it doesn't cost you anything. You're just pouring it out in the sink. So I just started using that. It works pretty well, I think. So let's get started. And this is going to be a liquid soil drench, but if you happen to have, we're trying to get a lot of nitrogen in the soil, is what we're shooting for. So I just happen to have a whole bunch of blood meal, so I'm going to throw a cup full of this on the soil before I drench it. And same thing, just wrapping up some earthworm castings I have. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. If you have it, just go ahead, throw it right around the base of the tree here. So I know everybody has filled up a bucket of water with a sprayer, but if you adjust it just right when you twist it, you want to kind of froth it up, get as much air in those bubbles as you possibly can, kind of aerate that water, and spray out the hose, the water that's in the hose, get rid of that for, I don't know, a good 30 seconds or so. Push as much air into that water as you can get. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit closer here. So, not anything super specific. Just give it a little glug, about 3 or 4 tablespoons, maybe for measuring it up. In the garden floss, give it about a 5-second squirt. It's kind of nice if you just poke a little pinhole in there. They don't use a whole bunch of it. Then you get your kelp, swish it around just a little bit. I just do like a little 5-second porter rule. And this is the zinc that I've got. And I just use the teeniest little amount. You just sort of dust it off in there. And your coffee, this is about 4 cups worth. Then you just give all that a little stir up. And personally, I like to let this sit for a few minutes, just like a minute or two, let all the pHs balance and let everything just kind of mellow out before you go and pour it on the plant. But that's just me. Okay, so while we're waiting for our water to go, if you have any of these dry fertilizers, like right here is the worm castings and the blood meal. Just go ahead and sprinkle those right in the bottom like that. Okay, so now our mixture is set for about a minute or two. Give it one more good stirring, and then we're just going to start pouring this right around here, and then pour it and let it soak in for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds until the puddle soaks through, and then just keep on doing that until you work through the 5-gallon bucket. Then when you get pretty close to the end, give it a nice little good roundabout swish. And one last pour quick to get everything out into the container. And then the last thing is, I like to give it a little bit of a spritzing, just kind of to water that in. Don't go crazy here. And then maybe the very last thing is you kind of get this to where it just barely puts out any water, but it's super frothy with air, right about like that. And then you just hold that right on the bottom of that tree stump for about 30 seconds and rinse all that down inside the roots. Okay, now that handles the soil drench. We'll come back and I'll show you what we do for a spray later on tonight in the evening. Okay guys, now I'm going to show you how to turbocharge your avocados so they can pack on those leaves. Some of these guys have been having a rough go if you've been following the channel for a while, but this does really, I did this and each one of them grew about an inch of new leaf pretty quick. So first thing I found is that really helps is you get a 1 gallon jug, fill it up about halfway, go buy some fish fertilizer, any kind of a kelp, molasses, unsulfured, maybe even blackstrap if you can get it. Then this one's a little odd, but you're going to look for a product called Yucca, Y-U-C-C-A. This is a surfactant, basically helps the liquid stick to the leaves so it doesn't beat up and roll off. If you don't have this, you could probably use like maybe just literally 1 drop of dish soap. But this has some nutrition in it, and it's organic. Now the yucca and the molasses are super thick, so get some warm water and basically stir them up. This one's the molasses on my right, this one's the yucca. You can see the foam on it. So basically just a teaspoon in a warm glass, stir that up. And I'm going to just pour those 2 glasses into the milk container, which you don't have to watch me do that on camera. That'll make a mess. Then you add about 1 ounce of your liquid kelp and 1 ounce of your fish fertilizer, and then find a garden sprayer that you don't use for pesticides. And the very last thing you want to do is, if you can get this garden floss, this is good stuff. It's an anti-fungicide, so you won't get any powdery mildew and root rot, and it gives it a pretty good source of phosphorus too. So don't go crazy, about 5 drops, and say 1 gallon would be about all you want of this. Then when you're all done, you get something that looks like this. And what's perfect about the milk container is the perfect thing to shake it and mix it up in. Because you have 1 gallon here, and get yourself one of these things. That's a gallon sprayer, and you're ready to go. So here's what you wind up with. And believe me, when you get a couple of avocado trees, the last thing you want to do is sit there with one of those little squeeze pump sprayers. A couple of pumps with this, I mean, you just can't beat that. Seriously. Those little pump sprays, you'll be doing this for an hour. It sucks. $10 on Amazon, get yourself one of these things. And here's our holiday. So just give everything a really nice coating. this is what the surfactant does. See how the water just stays nice and it covers the whole entire leaf. If you didn't have that, it was just sort of beat up and just roll right off. So that is what the yucca is doing for you. Very important for the yucca. Okay, it's a little hard to spray and videotape at the same time. But when you spray the top and the bottoms of the leaves, you get this nice shiny gloss all over everything. And it looks pretty much like this. Here's the Avocado. And I came around from the back side. You spray up underneath the leaves too, which is really kind of tricky to get holding the camera and juggling the sprayer. But I sprayed. So we've already sprayed 3 avocados, and I've got this much left. Let me just give it a little shake every once in a while, and I'm probably just going to put this in the garage, and I'll just use it up in the morning, spray them one more time, because we're heading into a heat wave. So I either do it now or I just don't do it. Anyways, guys, if you want to turbocharge your avocados, that is what I recommend. It really gets the leaves cranking if they're having a hard time. Okay, well, catch you guys later. Just that I ought to mention one more thing. When you guys do this, you want it to stay on the plants for as long as possible on the leaves without the sun hitting it and cooking it. So I do this kind of at the twilight, dusk maybe. So this is about 7:30 when I'm doing this. You can kind of look over there and you sort of see the fading sun. So maybe get up first thing in the morning, give it a few hours if you're going to do that too. But yeah, the last thing you want to do is do this in the midday or something, just to get cooked in the sun. All right, later, guys.